We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
After 7 long years, it is finally here. The Last of Us Part 2 has finally released. I have beaten it. I've loved every second of it. I'm going to keep this review spoiler free. So do not worry. I will not spoil any twists, turns, major plot points, anything like that. Keep it all vague, all mysterious. Any footage I show, it's not going to be any spoilers or anything like that. So yeah, just good. So Last of Us Part 2 picks up pretty much right after the events of the first Last of Us, with Joel and Ellie living their lives, Jackson, and then we jump to about 5 years later. We see Ellie as an adult. We see her friendship with this girl named Dina really blossom and grow into more than just a friendship, a full-blown relationship. But then eventually something really bad happens to Ellie, so bad that she decides to go on, a hunt for revenge, trying to find the people that wronged her and did the horrible thing that they did. So yeah, this game is really dark, but I loved every second of it. There's one thing to know about me. If you haven't seen my playthrough of the first game and, the playthrough of the second game, is that Last of Us is my favorite game of all time. But now The Last of Us Part 2 is my favorite game of all time. But Last of Us, still really, really good. That game just, completely changed how I looked at movies, TV, video games. Really showed me, how important story and characters are to any kind of visual media. And it really completely changed what games I play. Most games I play are story based and character based, as much as they possibly can. Telltale games the Walking Dead series, the Batman series, everything else that they've done, are some of my favorite games because they're so story and character based. And then so many other games as well. So that's just something to know about me. This game is definitely not for everyone. I can certainly say that. There is a shit ton of brutal violence, really dark shit that happens. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I can certainly say that. So if you don't like high amounts of violence and stuff like that, this is not gonna be for you. And if you also don't like games or stories or movies or whatever, going unexpected routes and doing things in different ways that you weren't expecting, like Star Wars The Last Jedi, you're going to hate this. I'm just going to say that. You're going to hate this. But I don't hate The Last Jedi. I love The Last Jedi. So I love this. But if you hate The Last Jedi, you'll probably hate this game because of the things that it does. So I'm sorry, guys, but that's just how it is. But that does not mean don't play the game. Play it for yourself and then form your own opinion. But keep an open mind, please. Just please. I really hate the people that are hating on this game because their hate is unjustified and just stupid. So the story of the game goes through a lot. There is so much that happens, going through different points of time, seasons and whatnot, really seeing how much Ellie has changed and grown over the years, and really seeing what kind of person that she's become, especially with the dark revenge turn that she goes on. It's really incredible to see this character that was once so fun loving and just so carefree and still had that childlike innocence, even in a world like this, has now been completely stripped away of that, and it's just this dark shell of a former self. And it's incredible just to see that throughout this entire game. And I'll talk about the ending. I'm not going to give away anything about the ending. Do not worry about that. Not going to say anything about that specifically, but I'll touch more onto that at that part. But yeah, it's done really well. Everything is perfectly balanced and paced. The action scenes, the cinematics, it's all done really well and balanced. Really, really good. The game is about, depending on how you play, between 25 hours, and if you're trying to find everything, it could be even longer than that. It's a long game, but it's all story-based, so definitely keep that in mind. It's very much a story-based game, still a crap ton of action and violence, though, so if you play for that, well, then you're going to get that a lot. Also, if you don't know anything about The Last of Us, this is technically a zombie-type game, but the zombies are considered infected. They were infected with this fungus kind of disease. So it's while they definitely are zombies, there are some the clickers that are are completely turning into fungus people that are just horrifying, and especially with the graphics of this game, even more terrifying. So that's beautiful. Same with the bloaters, and then you have new infected the shamblers, and the stalkers that are just still creepy as hell, and I loved every second of fighting against them. This game goes through a lot of dark themes, specifically rage and revenge, and how much it can, like, completely change a person, destroy who they are, destroy, like, the relationships that they have, like, how much it can really affect them, and how much, like, they in turn see, like, what they've become, and it's like, do they either accept it or do they try to, like, fight against it. Like, it's throughout this entire thing, and there are so many beautiful and or heartbreaking scenes that involve this theme directly, and there's so many others, but there's not enough time to talk about it all, and there's not enough time because that's also a lot of spoilers. So I'm not gonna get into it as much as I can, but just know revenge is a humongous theme in this game, is the driving force of this game, and it's just it's incredible to witness. But you as the player, like, especially, like, it makes you, like, question, it's like, should I keep doing this? Like, I don't know if I should keep doing this, or it's like, it really makes you think about, like, the actions that you're doing as Ellie. And then, like, especially Ellie herself, like, begins, like, to question, like, like, is this right? Should I be doing this? And other things like that. It's done incredibly well, and it's just like, bravo. Performances. One of the greatest performances I've ever seen in a video game, especially in any visual media, in a long time. Ashley Johnson as Ellie has knocked it out of the park again. In the first game and in the DLC, like, she did an incredible job. But here, the places that she had to go to, like, it's just, she does an incredible job. Like, just fucking bravo. Like, good lord, like, it's amazing. And everyone else, Troy Baker as Joel, always fantastic. And then the rest of the supporting cast are incredible. And it's just like, some other characters I'm not going to talk about. They did a fantastic job. I love their performances. I love their characters. Done so well. Just perfection. Gameplay wise, this is definitely a combination between The Last of Us and Uncharted 4, but it's kind of perfected the aspects of each of those that it brings together. So it's like, if you played the first one, then it's still a kind of standard third-person, like, cover-based shooter, but it takes, like, the openness of Uncharted 4, where in that, like, the landscapes were huge. You had, like, free reign to go wherever in the landscapes to attack. You can do stealth, you can do action, like, it doesn't matter. You can do either, or you can go back into stealth, go back into action, vice versa, like that kind of thing. It takes that aspect and puts it here, and the gameplay feels even better. Ellie, nowhere near as, like, brutally powerful, strong as Joel was, so instead she uses her speed and her quick wits to, like, outsmart the enemies and, like, figure out how to get out of the situation as fast as possible, and, like, other things like that. So, done really well. Shooting, still as good as the first one. No real gripes with that. Like, the mechanics are all there. Pretty much as similar as the first one, just, like, kind of perfected. It feels great to play. Like, there's never a moment in the game where I was like, these controls, they don't make sense, or they don't feel right. Nah. All done super well. The crafting, still as good as it was in the first game. You got some new weapons like exploding arrows, things like that, some different kind of bombs that can really help give you the edge. And again, it all works to either if you want to go for, like, just, like, dive right into fighting them, or if you want to, like, go more stealth-based attacks. You can play this any way, but the harder difficulty you go on, it's gonna be hard to, like, fight them face on. So it's more about, like, planning your attacks before you go into them, like, strategize and figure out how to do it, especially more so than the first game, because you actually had that free reign to go wherever you want and attack however you want. Done incredibly well. The visuals, good God, this game looks amazing. Like, the first game when I played it when I was 14, I was like, graphics can't get better than this. There's no way they can get better than this. This is pinnacle. This is peak. Now I'm like, this is the pinnacle and peak. It's done so well. Naughty Dog, just every game they make, they keep improving on it. Uncharted 4 was incredible to look at, both in cutscenes and in gameplay, but here, it's just, mwah. The cutscenes are incredibly beautiful and highly detailed. They look realistic, but not enough to where it's like the uncanny valley where it's like, that looks too real. Why does that look too real? It's just enough to keep that, like, in your mind. It's like, this looks so real, but it still doesn't disturb my mind. And then especially in the gameplay, incredibly highly detailed. Like, the seamless transitions from cutscene to gameplay it's done so well. And, like, when you're in the gameplay, you don't notice a difference at all in the quality of the world, the yourself, the enemies, anything like that. They all look as highly detailed as they do in the cutscenes. So that is just so incredibly impressive. And I loved every second of looking at this game, especially tied up with, like, the lighting and the cinematography. Like, absolutely gorgeous, hauntingly gorgeous is the best way that I can explain it, because it's like, while it is gorgeous, it's also terrifying and, heartbreaking, brutal, all that good stuff. So, like, good job on, like, breaking my heart and terrorizing me, as well as making me cry, and also cry from beauty. There's a lot of high emotions that I felt in this game. You're going to feel a lot of high emotions in this game. That's the best way I can explain it. Now, without spoiling anything about the ending, this is one of my all-time favorite endings in anything. Book, movie, TV, gaming, whatever. This ending was incredible. I loved it. When it got to that final act, I didn't realize that it was the final act. I was like, oh, so this is how it's going to end. But then it kept going. I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. And it kept going. I was like, oh. Then you get to that final part. If you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. Haunting is the best way that I can describe it. Like, I didn't want to keep, like, playing that part, but I was just like, I'm just so mesmerized by it in the most hauntingly kind of way. Like, I couldn't look away from it. Like, it's fucking incredible. Like, through and through, this entire game is just fucking incredible. The story, the themes, the characters, the performances, the gameplay, visuals, the score, fucking beautiful. Just like, every single aspect is as perfect as it possibly can be. I've encountered little to no glitches whatsoever, no dip in, like, frame rate or visuals or anything like that. Everything was perfected as much as it possibly could. The story was just so damn good. I can't stress that enough. I can certainly say that if you play this game, you're going to have an experience with it. That's the best way that I can describe it. The first game was perfect in every measure. The ending of that game was incredible. Same with this game. But I think why I liked this game more was because of the dark ways that it went, the perfection, the gameplay, and the visuals, and the cinematics, and then that ending. Good God, that ending. Fuck, man. God damn, that was amazing. Like, it's so hard for me to talk about this game because there's so much I want to talk about, but I can't because it gets into spoilers. But, like, I'll just leave you with this. The Last of Us Part 2 is my new favorite game of all time. It is perfect in every way. I have no problems with it. I loved every second of it. I want to go back and play it again. Hell, I'm playing it again because, like, I have to. So it's just like, it's incredible. Play it for yourself. Judge it for yourself. Keep an open mind. Have a great time. Cry, scream, whatever. I don't know. Be terrorized. Be brutally terrorized. I don't know. Just experience it because there's no other game like it. I'm going to give The Last of Us Part 2 a 10 out of 10. It's been a very long time since I played a game that is perfect. There's some games like this Marvel Spider-Man, God of War, and then some other games where it's like it's close to perfection, but it's just missing something. Here, no. It is missing nothing. I consider it to be perfect. I think it's flawless. It is beautiful, horrifying, heartbreaking, every kind of emotion that you can think of. It is so damn good. Naughty Dog has knocked it out of the park again, and I am so curious to see how they adapt this for the HBO show of The Last of Us. I have no idea how they are, and I'm excited to see how they're going to do it. As long as you keep that ending the same, we're all good. We're all good. So have you played The Last of Us Part 2? What did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I'm curious. I'm very curious what people think of the game because it's divisive, which is the weird thing. I don't know why it's divisive. I've read about why people think it's divisive. It doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, it's like with The Last Jedi hate. Their hate makes no sense, but I don't care. I still love it. Doesn't change the fact for me. And there's a petition to change the story of The Last of Us Part 2. And if you think that changing a movie is impossible, wait till you find out what goes into making a game. Because I can tell you, and I don't even do games, that it's a lot harder. So if you like this, if you want to see more, check out my playthroughs of the first Last of Us, the current ongoing playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2, my Let's Play of the Uncharted series, all my movie reviews, and other things that I've done. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that cool stuff, and I will see you all next time.